Okay guys, this is Mike again. We're going to take that little design that we made and do some other things to it just so you can kind of introduce this to your kids too. Here's the final one. Don't want all those layers, just want to move on. Shift Command E is merge visible. You get it up here. Layer, and it would have been down there. Merge visible, Shift Command E. I'm going to copy the background layer, Command J. Always do, just because. Take the crop tool. That's the letter C on the keyboard. Now when you take the crop tool, you've got options up top there for all kinds of different ways to crop this. I'm going to have the kids choose the square option. Just basically means it's a 1-to-1 ratio. And if they click and drag on the corners, they can keep it as a square. No matter where they go, it will be a square. If they don't like what they did, they can undo it. To say OK, hit the return key. If they love it, save it. File, save as. Call it radial square. Make sure it's not a Photoshop document, but a JPEG, and hit save. When you hit save, say OK, and there we have it. To get back to where we were, rather than having to go open the other picture again, all we got to do is do Command Z. That'll kind of undo a little bit, and then Option Command Z will take us back a couple more. So there we are. Oh, and we can go all the way back to see where we were there. So I'm just going to flatten those layers again. There we are. That's where we were when we started. Okay, copy the background again. Command J. Command T is free transform. This time, let's grab that bottom corner, the bottom right corner, and click. Now, if I click and move this, I'm basically taking that top layer and squishing it down into whatever kind of design I want here. I'm going to hold the Shift key before I forget and let go. And then let go of the mouse, let go of the Shift key, hit return. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here so you can see what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the marquee tool. I get there by touching the M on the keyboard. And I'm just going to click and drag to select that part of it. Whatever's inside the marching ants is going to quickly be turned into a pattern here in just a second. Watch how this works. I back out, edit, define pattern. Just say yes. Okay. Now I'm going to deselect here because I don't want the marching ants going. And what I'm going to do is give myself a new blank layer on top of everything. The blank layers are hiding next to the trash over here. That guy right there. When you click on it, it creates a new blank layer. How do you know they're blank inside Photoshop? Checkerboard. That means 100% transparency. All right, so what we're going to do is go to Edit now and fill, but with what? A pattern. Not the foreground color, background color, any of that kind of stuff, a pattern. So say the pattern, but then which pattern? Well, we're going to fill it with the very last pattern that we just created. Click on that. Then we're going to click off of this. We know it's going to do that one, normal at 100%, say OK. That's pretty cool. That little design we just created is now some kind of really exotic, maybe fabric pattern. Save it. Shift Command S is the keyboard shortcut for save as. We'll call this one pattern. Don't want it as a Photoshop document, save it as a JPEG. Save. OK. Kind of like that pattern, but maybe we'll do something different with another pattern. Go back to the background layer, Command J, copy it, Command T, free transform. This time, I'm going to click and drag to get me something like this. Hit return. Touch the marquee tool, M on the keyboard, and click and drag to select that. Edit, define pattern. Say OK. Deselect, Command D. Give yourself a new blank layer. This time, we're going to go to Edit and Fill, but with what? A pattern. What pattern? The last one in the list. Now, though, in Photoshop CC, you've got all kinds of real fun stuff you can do in here. And you've got these options also in even back Photoshop 5, CS5, CS6, that kind of stuff. You're not going to be able to do as much flexible kind of fixing as you can with this one, but you'll see how it works. So you can do a brick fill, cross weave, place along a path. Very interesting. Or maybe a spiral. And I'm just going to say OK to this. And what I'm going to get is a spiral. And that spiral right there was created from, believe it or not, a scan of 3 bananas and 4 pears on a scan flatbed. You can change the size of the spacing. You can have less spacing, more spacing. You can have the pattern scale be 1 to 1. You can have it be greater than that. You can have the scale. Here's the spacing. That's kind of interesting. Color randomness, all kinds of fun stuff. Just say okay. It's going to do its little thing. It's going to fill that. That is pretty interesting. Kids love this kind of stuff. Once you've got their brains cranking along with these options, it's just throwing them into a higher order of thinking, and they're really kind of controlling the way that they're thinking about the process. They're also building pieces of this into their memory, and it's really helping them to just work through the problems.